DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. I think we're here. We're finally live. Hey, we had a problem with the Facebook feed tonight for some reason. There he is. Ta-da! Yes, for some reason the Facebook feed just all of a sudden crapped out on us tonight. So those of you on YouTube, you had to watch a lot of black screen, and I apologize for that. But we should be here. Yes, I see.
All right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't frozen. It was all of the Facebook, and what was happening is that it continually popped up hey, your Facebook, your feed has been disconnected. Your feed's been disconnected. Your feed's been disconnected. So I would click OK, and then it would continue to pop this, and then I went in and deleted Facebook's connection, and it continually did this until I shut the feed down and brought the feed back.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the John and Brian Show.
We are here. Yay! So tonight, we're going to talk about a video that you were talking about the whole concept of DJs from Chicago, and it was more. There's more into it, but the part that I wanted to really get into is you were talking about how some of the DJs who were based in Chicago really didn't travel to Milwaukee and vice versa because there was like this imaginary boundary between the states that was like this wall.
Yeah.
So kind of give us a little background on the video and what you were talking about with that.
Holy crap!
What's going on?
My light's tripping here. Sorry about that.
We've got the strobe going on.
It stopped. I had a gentleman call me, actually, which I don't recommend anyone ever does. But I had a guy call me, and he was looking for ideas to get work. He was a part-time DJ, full-time something else. And he was wondering if there were any services out there where you could just, I guess, have them book work for you and they take a percentage, like some website or, I think there have been attempts at that before, but
for sure.
Nothing I'm aware of that's viable or I would recommend anyone use. So I gave him some other ideas. And one of the ideas that I gave him was and I just gave him examples of what I did, and that's kind of the background of where the video came from. I was talking about some of the things I was recommending to him. Milwaukee is 80 miles from downtown Chicago, and for some reason, people in Wisconsin just don't go to Chicago a lot. Like, it's a big deal to go there. Like, because you got to hit toll roads and stuff. You got to make sure you have your insurance card. It's a big deal, you know. And it's the same thing with people from Chicago. They don't always come to Milwaukee a lot.
For sure.
It's like they feel like they got to have a passport to come here. We're very close, but now there are DJs in Chicago, or I should say Chicagoland, or northeastern Illinois, who like a few of our venues up here. There's one right over the border called, it's an area called Lake Geneva.
Yeah.
If you can remember way back, talking about Club Evolve, that I used to staff DJs in, that was at Grand Geneva Resort. It was a former Playboy club way back. So that's right over the border, and people from Illinois kind of know it. And a lot of the clientele that go to Grand Geneva Resorts are kind of from the Illinois area. They treat it kind of like New York treats the Hamptons, if that makes sense to you. It's their place. There's another area up in Kohler, Wisconsin. There's a place called the American Club. It's very swank. Kohler, the toilet people, believe it or not, that's like a big thing. And downtown, you know, there's stuff downtown that's familiar, venues and places that are, that place. But above and beyond that, if a Chicago DJ is advertising for the area, they're kind of looking for those places where they might find somebody from Illinois getting married in Wisconsin, because that happens a lot. They get married in Kohler, or they get married at Whistling Straits Golf Club, or they get married at one of the resorts in Lake Geneva, but they don't particularly get married at the Rotunda in Waukesha. Like, what is that? Or at some barn somewhere, or on somebody's farm. They're not familiar with the neighborhoods. They're not familiar with, the terrain, or really the general demographic or structure of the Milwaukee or the Wisconsin wedding, because we're very Polish and German here. It's a Polish German settlement, and we use a lot of those traditions. We still do polkas and things. Chicago, not as much. They're a little more cosmopolitan. So for that reason, making the short story long there, and I apologize for that.
No, that's good.
I thought it was a good idea to contact some of those DJs down there and to see if they were turning down work that wasn't like prime work in the area. One of the things that maybe, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead. Finish up. Yeah.
I was just going to say, one of the other things to consider is travel expense. So, maybe there's a DJ in Chicagoland, and they get a lead on a gig in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, and they're looking at this saying, okay, this is like nearly a 2-hour drive for us. So we're going to have to charge travel expense. And that just puts the cost of the DJ above and beyond what the client may be willing to pay. Whereas, hey, maybe they can call me, the local guy who knows the terrain, book the gig anyway, take the commission, then I can go and do it, and everybody wins. So it's just a way to get work. It was just a suggestion that I had, was to just go with, look for DJs who advertise in areas that they may not necessarily want to play in.
Sure. And especially something like on a Wedding Wire, where they're kind of all over in that vicinity, you could definitely find some potential. I mean, and the worst they can say is no.
Right. Well, you got to look at it from, like my perspective. Let's say that on my website, I advertise for Chicago, because I know downtown, and I know the northern suburbs, but I don't know the neighborhoods in Chicago well enough to just take anything.
Yeah.
Scott Swoka Sills, he's booked me for things in Chicago. I didn't know the neighborhoods. I mean, he knows them and they're good, but maybe they weren't good 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I have no idea what I'm running into. Can I go by myself? Do I need a crew of 3 just to get in and out? I have no idea what's going on. So yeah, it's just an interesting idea. If you can find somebody who's advertising in your area who may not necessarily be comfortable with working in your area because of those things, travel expense, not knowing the terrain or the demographic of the folks. Maybe that's a good way to go. It's a good way to network, to reach out and say, hey, look, I can handle this work for you, so don't turn it down.
So what the angle I wanted to take on this is back, especially when we were first starting, and I've seen this, I don't see it as much today as I did 10, 15 years ago, is the idea that DJs would get very, very offended if you would go and take events in their area. They were very territorial. That if I would be going to a town, going to outstate, and I was going into this area that I wasn't a DJ of the area, there was this whole contest thing going on where you would have this animosity going on, and they would be talking smack about what you're doing, not to the point of being damaging, what have you, but there was this competition where DJs just absolutely hated each other doing that. And when you were mentioning that, I was flashing back to that time where, even as myself, when I would see DJs coming up from the cities that are coming out here and they were doing shows, and they're doing shows, I'm charging $500 and they're charging $200, and they were coming up from the cities. It's like this whole, just really, all those feelings just came bubbling back. Did you have that experience when you were first starting out?
No. With us, with me, I guess, and I say us because I'm thinking back when I was working at multi-ops, I can remember, like, usually we were for the most part in the area. But then once in a while, we would do something wacky, like we'd take a gig in western Wisconsin or something. And in like these little bitty towns. Yep. And like at the baseball diamond, they had their annual festival, and you were like the main act. Yep. And it was a town of like a couple thousand people, and the talk was, oh my gosh, we got a DJ from Milwaukee. Wow. It was a big deal to them. But I don't remember anybody being territorial in that regard. I always thought it was interesting if you could cross into different markets, simply because it's not easy. It's so different between, like I was saying before, Milwaukee and Chicago. It's got to be the right kind of gig for me to take in Chicago, because I really don't know enough about what they're doing down there. And I don't know. It's the same thing with a DJ from Chicago. And then they may say, oh yeah, I can handle it. And then they come up here and they're almost shooting over people's heads with some of their stuff that they're trying to play or they're trying to do. Milwaukee's not there yet. You know what I mean? Or they're doing something different, or they've got some cultural things that they're doing that Chicago isn't doing and they're not aware of. So if you're well versed enough to be able to jump markets like that, that's cool. I think it's really cool. But I feel like we're always best, I believe, kind of in our home market, because we know these people, we should know the cultures, we should know the terrain, and this should be where we do best. The exception to that rule would be like DJ Naveen, for instance, who is in Detroit, but he'll travel all over the Midwest doing, Indian weddings, because that's a specialty. Yeah, a specific type of event. Yes, he gets that culture, and he can definitely, take care of their needs. But if you're just doing your, white labeled, American wedding, and when I say, well, I don't mean white people, I just mean generic American wedding. It varies. There's no such thing. It's a regional thing. If I went up by you, I would probably shoot over some people's heads with some stuff. Oh yeah, certainly. I've done it. I've done events out, or when I say, usually I end up going north. Is when I travel out of my realm, if for some reason I end up going like Green Bay and beyond, it's up that way. And when I get out there, I remember doing this one gig one time, and there were a lot of young people there, and I thought, okay, I'll do the Cupid Shuffle. They had no idea what I was playing. And I'm like, you guys have YouTube and stuff, right? You have internet? But no, don't know this. We're not familiar with this. So I was shooting over their heads. I was making assumptions about them that weren't correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that definitely can be difficult. And I've even found that by going from one town to the next, and so maybe 5 to 10 miles away, but just the expectations. I might have the same or similar people, and many of them from a month earlier. But because I'm playing in a different town down the road, now it's assumed that we're in this country town, and now we're going to be playing more country music. Or I'm in a rock situation, or this town is more of that. It's a weird thing. We talk on our shows about how everyone's hearing the same music. It's not like the old days where music that was being released in the Midwest was a month later than it was on the East and West Coast.
Yeah.
It's all, the music is just kind of blah. Now what we choose to listen to varies because there's just so many sources. But we have this, top 40 is very homogeneous across the country anymore. It's not like that. It used to be when the local radio station would do their year-end, countdown. The year-end countdown from St. Cloud was a lot different than the year-end countdown that was 2 hours down the road. Not so much anymore because of whatever the music, the mix stations and such that all carry that. So
Milwaukee and Chicago are just that's the thing that I think that I can probably relate to, the best, and to the differences. Like Shani, okay, I don't know if it was a year or two ago or whatever. She was, you'd mentioned something, and she said, biker shuffle. Yeah, played at every event that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one request for it ever, and I didn't have it then, so it didn't get played, and never again. I don't know if that was a quick thing that happened or that's a thing that always happens there, but I don't know it. And it's things like that just.
Yeah, just some variation. So I wanted to kind of as our last part of this, talking about the backyard, playing in someone else's backyard, is for those people who are going to be traveling, or they're going to be going into a different market to perform. Maybe they're going to be they've been hired to go and do a wedding, 2 hours, an hour outside their typical market. Is there any kind of rules or thoughts or ideas or tips that we could share with them? Do you think that would make it so that they would be more successful in what they're doing?
I really do believe that the best thing you can always do when you're stepping into a situation, be it one like this or even your local thing, is fish a little bit, dig a little bit and find out kind of where they're at. Where with my clients, I do not encourage playlists. I don't want them. But what I do ask them to do is give me a short list of just some of the things that they like, so I can play off of that. And what I tell them is, look, and I've talked about this before, I said, I don't need to know that, you like Katy Perry and Kesha and Rihanna and all that. If you just give me one track, I can kind of guess you like the rest of it. You know what I mean? You don't have to tell me every hip-hop song that you like from the 90s. If you give me one hip-hop song from the 90s, I can guess that that's kind of what you like. So give me a cross-section of the things that you enjoy. And, for instance, okay, classic rock. Okay, I like AC/DC. Okay, we could probably do Bob Seger, too. And we can probably do Def Leppard as well. And we could do Romantics as well. If I get those things, then I can pretty much play to them,
mm-hmm.
Based on that. And then plus requests, and you got it. What I don't do when I'm out of my home base, like I said before, with the Cupid Shuffle, is I try not to overshoot, or shoot over their heads. I don't want to do that. I'd rather play down than challenge my audience when I'm outside of my comfort zone for my audiences that I'm normally used to playing to.
So you're talking to the clients. Would you do any reconnaissance with talking to the venue or talking to other performers in that area to try to find out what things are like in that vicinity?
I haven't, but I suppose you could. I don't know. I mean, if I was playing in Sydney, Australia, I probably would. But just traveling a couple hours north, I don't know that I'm going to mess with that too much. It just kind of depends on where you're going,
What do you?
And I've done weird jobs, weird places before.
Mm-hmm.
and just stepped in and done sets in England or done sets in Germany or done sets in LA or Vegas or whatever. And you kind of have to have a general idea of what's going on there to even attempt it. And yeah, I mean, the more information, the better, I guess.
What are your thoughts about, okay, if I'm going to go to Milwaukee, I've got someone who wants to hire me for a wedding. What are your thoughts when it comes to looking for gear or maybe assistance in something? Is that something that is tacky for a DJ to go and post on? You see this, hey, I'm going to be doing a wedding in Milwaukee, and I need someone I can rent gear from. Is that a tacky situation, or is that something that's more acceptable today than it would have been 10 years ago?
Well, I think it kind of depends, I mean, like Naveen, for instance. I mean, there was no reason for Naveen to bring anything here. Because I could have covered him. He was here in Milwaukee last year. I think it was last year. Maybe it was springtime. Time's getting fuzzy on me. But there was no reason for him to bring anything that he brought with him. He could have flown in, really. And we could have provided back-end support for him, no problem. I mean, lighting and sound and everything, more than what he needed. He actually did get some lighting support from a friend of mine and went in and did some stuff for him because he needed it. He didn't want to bring, all this stuff. He only wanted to bring a minivan. He didn't want to bring a trailer about it. So I guess it's how it's approached, I mean, I think if I were to be booked in Phoenix, Arizona, what I might do is say, hey, look, I got a gig in Phoenix. I could load my truck up and drive to Phoenix, or alternately, I could rent while I'm there from one of you folks. This is the date. This is what I'm looking for. Can anybody provide me back-end support? And if not, then you need to chase the other method.
Yeah, I think to a point now that we're connected in a larger way than we were a number of years back, I think reaching out especially if we know someone in the market that, hey, I'm going to be in Milwaukee, Brian, I know you're there. Can we work together? I think I think those work. It's the times where we're going to a market, and I'm going to give a personal one on this one. Is I know a guy who was coming up, and he was actually, it was a wedding that they had inquired about me, and they weren't going to hire me because I cost too much. They hired a DJ from, I want to say it was somewhere in mid-Iowa, somewhere down that way. And he came up, but he didn't have some of the gear that was needed for the event. So he had posted on a chat board that I saw, basically asking, hey, does anybody have this stuff? Because I need to rent it for this wedding I'm going to be doing. And just because of the community. And I found out, of course, from the bride when I had asked, when I did the follow-up and saying, hey, thanks for getting back that you're going with someone else. What was your deciding factor? Well, the guy was half your price. So from my perspective, it's like, okay, so no problem. I mean, not everyone's my client. But then to find out they're hiring someone for half the price who's now having to go and try to rent this stuff. And my first gut response was like, okay, half the price would have been this amount. I can rent him that stuff for this amount. And let's see how this goes. But
right.
I figured, I'm just going to walk away, and it's not let someone else deal with it. I don't need that aggravation in my life. But
oh yeah.
So anyway, it's just one of those things that when handled properly, I think it could be a great situation. I've had friends who've come up who've done family weddings up in our neck of the woods, and I've graciously, here, what do you need? Sound system, controller, go. Have a great time. I don't. Do what you need to do, and you got anything at your disposal, which, because of this connected world we're in, it worked well. So
yeah. Well, yeah, again, it's how you approach it. I mean, it's nice to poke around for options, and people do that stuff. I mean, I'll get a call occasionally from some of the big rental houses in town looking for like Technics 1200s because some superstar DJ has come to town and it's on his rider and they don't have them. So, I mean, it's not uncommon, but yeah, I think it's just kind of how we approach it as DJs and how our realistic budget for these rental fees as well would be pretty smart.
Yeah, that's very true too. That was a number of years ago. The guy got a stranger, and I need to rent some speakers. Okay, great. rental price would have been, $150. And he goes, well, what can I get for $50? It's like, dude,
You can't.
you can't. I'm not going to. I'm not going to rent that. So anyway, so that's what we wanted to talk about a little bit tonight about the DJ, get out of the backyard thing. Is that used to be one way. Today it's a little bit more of a transient world, or I should say, we move a lot more. And if you do it right, it can be a great thing. And if you do it wrong, everyone thinks you're a jerk.
Yeah, good assessment.
Okay, so now let's move to topic 2. I don't know if you heard this today, Brian, but today it became public knowledge that Prime Cuts, which is TM Century, was the main company. TM Century was one of the original companies that were providing music for radio stations. They started, and my first experience with TM Century that brought them on my radar was the Mobile Beat series, if you remember that set of discs. They took the Mobile Beat Top 200 and they pressed 13 CDs that had all of the top 200 songs that DJs played. When those came out, I had to buy one. I had to buy 2. Right. I had to buy 3. I ended up with like 6 or 8 of them. But anyway.
Yeah. Got a copy of them somewhere here, too.
Yeah, great discs, and then they extended that. That's another angle. But they then came out with the Prime Cut series, and they were one of the companies, Promo was in there, Top Hits USA, RPM, they were another, and then Prime Cuts was one that came in there and really started to cater towards the mobile DJs. And they would have their monthly CD that had their Prime Cuts in it. Well, it came out today that they are shutting that service down completely. Not just sending out the CDs, that was shut down a while ago, completely eliminating. So they're going to be dealing with that. The reason that they're shutting down is there was a change this past year in the music industries when it came to the promo onlys, ERGs, Top Hits USA, iDJ Pool. These legitimate companies. It used to be that they could serve music to you or give you a back library that went back about 3 years. So it used to be that, okay, we're talking November 2018, they could go back to like December of 2015, something like that. Mm-hmm. They changed that this year. The record labels will not allow them to go back and service anything for more than 4 months old.
Wow.
And this is kind of big, because if I'm a starting DJ, I used to be able to at least get the hits for the last 3 years. I can't even get all the hits from this year. If I wanted to go, if I called up Nick tomorrow and said, Nick, can I get a February anything in audio? I can't get it. So there's a major change. And I think this is one of the reasons why Prime Cuts got out of it, because they're seeing the writing on the wall that this is going to cause an issue. The second thing is, one of the biggest music services out there that's been pushing the hardest is a illegal service. A lot of you have talked about it, and such. BPM Supreme, I'm going to mention them because there's DJs who will argue with me all day long that, look at their big building, look at their big website, look at this, look at that. No, BPM Supreme is not a completely legitimate music service out there, because there's 2 things that they do that make it so that they are not following the letter of the law. They're giving you access to music. Videos is a different story. If it's a music video, completely different story. They're giving you access to songs that are over now 4 months old. If the song is from 2006 and it's the radio edit, that means that they're not playing by the rules. BPM Supreme also has been serving some of Promo Only's edits of their songs and putting that into their system to share out there. Then of course,
don't mess with Nick and Glenn, man. It's just not going to end well.
It's really that's the.
There's a lot of people I'll mess with in this industry. Nick Hahn is not one of them. Don't mess with Nick. No, I'm just saying, if they're now, I can't believe they're doing promo. Oh man, that's terrible.
They've been some of the people have been able to get promo content and such. So you've got a situation here where we've got a company that is basically not playing by the rules, and you have companies that are trying to play by the rules, and the rules have gotten changed to make it even more difficult. So Brian, what I'm seeing and I'm concerned about is, are we going to get to the point here in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years where Promo Only and ERG and iDJ Pool and all these companies that want to play by the rules just can't be there anymore? They're going to be out of business, because there's either the bootleggers or the music industry has made it so difficult for them to stay in business that they're just going to say, the heck with it, like our friends at Primecuts did.
Well, first of all, let me say that I've been to TM Studios. It's in Grapevine, Texas, and it's more than just a music service. It's more than just Primecuts.
Yep.
They're doing another service for radio, which is TM Studios, and this is what radio stations get. But the big thing they're doing there, a couple things. Number one, they're doing a lot of syndicated radio,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of radio broadcast stuff. Like if you listen to a certain morning show or something, chances are that might actually be happening at TM Studios. A lot of sports radio. They do stuff for NBC. They have these little booths, these little rooms, are like dorm rooms, and there's a computer in there and a mic and a mixing board, and they're broadcasting from Grapevine, Texas. But they're not saying they are. It's syndicated, and they're like the jingle people.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Fort Worth, my understanding is this is the jingle capital of the world. And when I say jingles, I'm talking about little radio spots.
Mm-hmm.
Where they,
Yeah, they've got voiceover talent there. When I went down
for commercials or for car dealerships, or it doesn't matter what. I mean, but they have singers come in and they sing these,
whatever this,
buy a Ford at John Young Ford in whatever Eagle, Minnesota. No, I don't. But no, these singers is interesting. I was told that they go. There are several studios in the area that do this. It's not just them that do it, and they'll hit several studios a day and just sing these scripted songs, and that's how they make a living as singers, singing jingles. So it's not like they're going to close their doors and they're not going to exist anymore.
Correct.
They've got other stuff going on. This used to be a big thing. It's not anymore. I was shown this big empty store, or this big storage area that at one time was full of people who were stuffing envelopes to send out, CDs to DJs.
Yeah.
That just doesn't exist anymore because it's all digital. So now it's just this warehouse area. But he said this used to look like the New York Stock Exchange.
Yep, I
People
remember
were just stuffing CDs all the time. And
the CD burner that had like the 20 drawers, and one person's job was basically just to go close them and push record. Then the next person would come around, 5 minutes later and run them through the printer. And
this was just the envelope stuffing area. I mean, it was huge. It was like several basketball courts. It wasn't just like a little, it was a big area. But they don't use it. They're using it for storage now because they don't do that anymore. So, it's kind of probably something they just don't even want to focus on and worry about anymore,
I would think so. And especially if the bar to be able to do this and do this successfully is moving. Maybe not completely getting more difficult, but it's moving. And the returns on it, Howie, is it worth the squeeze for the juice, or however he said that in this show tonight? That was a great line. But
is the squeeze worth the juice?
Is the squeeze worth the juice? Thank you. Yes.
He says that a lot.
I haven't heard that one before, but
I don't know if the squeeze is worth the juice or not.
I think that's really what it gets down to, and I think we're going to have companies like like the promos and the different there. We've seen some cutting backs, not specifically from promo, but some of the other services have done some tweaking. Because they're trying to, they're
getting ready.
Yeah, our friends at ERG, they were producing and sending out a hard copy of their discs yet. That ended August, might have been their last disc.
Now, see, Top Hit still does it, and they might be the last ones who do it. And it's a DVD you get every month, and it's just got all the songs on it from. I have them. I got them right here. I can show them to you. This one happens to be a video disc, but this is what it looks like. The audio looks exactly the same, except it's got a little M here. And it's got all the releases from the month. Now, you can go on the website and get them immediately as they come out as well. But, most mobile DJs don't need to have it yesterday. They just kind of need to have the latest tracks relatively soon. Most of us, anyway. So a DVD a month is actually pretty handy.
Oh, for sure.
Just load it in. You don't have to worry about going there every day or downloading or checking things. And just there you go and load it in and you're done. I'm not real familiar with what else Top Hits does or what else Promo Only even does. But I do know that TM Studios was a lot more diversified than just Prime Cuts. That was a teeny tiny part of their business model. So it doesn't surprise me that it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And cutbacks happen. I mean,
exactly. I mean, we've seen that in all sorts of businesses.
What happened to GM yesterday?
Yeah,
precisely. They're closing 5 plants.
Yeah.
It's not like nobody's buying a Silverado anymore, but nobody's buying a Volt. So let's not make these anymore.
Yeah.
Let's close these plants and focus on something else.
Yeah, let's make a big boxy Suburban, and that's what everyone will be happy.
People buy that.
They'll buy that, and then they'll complain in 5 years. Why do we have the emissions, and why do we have this? Yeah, that's.
I want everybody to go out and buy a Suburban right now. Buy it loaded, black, with black interior, sunroof, Z71. Please buy it. And then 5 years from now, when the gas prices go through the roof for whatever reason, let me know, because I want to buy your truck that's worth nothing now.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll get.
I'll write out the gas crisis, because that's what I did last time, and I'm waiting for it to happen again. It's just not happening. But no, I back to what you were talking about. I think they are getting ready. Promo Only is online, of course. The pool is, something that I use all the time. And it's handy.
Yeah.
It's very handy.
Very, very handy.
I have to discipline myself for pool, though. I mean, I really do have to think about it. I have to grab pool stuff.
Okay.
And I have to, what am I going to grab? No, I don't need the singles, I guess. I just need the albums, and I guess I need Latin too. And I should grab it in case I need it later, So I got to discipline myself for pool. But for Top Hits, that's what's beautiful about it. The DVD and done. I really like that part of it. And then maybe that's just me. That's the generational thing with me. I don't know. But it's easy. I like it. But no, I mean, if you're just strictly online service, right? How difficult can it be? I mean, you don't have to worry about any physical media that you have to send out to anybody. It's all digital. So if you've got guys to organize your database and you have subscribers, there's no reason not to stay in business.
Yeah, and that's. I think there is a little bit of money that they have to be paying to the labels.
Oh, sure, and they have to pay themselves,
and then they've got to make the money off. And then I think they just made the decision to go that way. But yeah, there'll definitely be some music changes coming up here in the next couple of years, whether we like it or not. And my biggest concern is it going to be more difficult for me to find clean edits of songs? I don't want to be on iTunes and have to buy, that wasn't a clean enough edit. Oh, that wasn't a clean enough edit. I hate
to be that guy, John, but I'm sitting here wondering to myself, do we need new music service much longer?
There is that.
There was nothing crossover. Like to adults. I mean, music's supposed to be for young kids. I understand. Music's for the young. It's fashion's for the young. Everything's for the young, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But usually you have something that crosses over. Like I've talked about my mom. I mean, my mom has always listened to Top 40 radio. She's almost 78 years old. She's always listened to Top 40 radio. I knew people, who have been gone a long time, who were, in their 80s. At the time, and they were listening to MC Hammer, but you don't have that now. It just isn't the same. Not like it used to be. Where you have these tracks that will cross generations and have more mass appeal, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do the young people like it, but their parents might like it too,
And that's a really good point, because the what music I'm getting requested for at the teen dances, some of that is something that's only on YouTube or only on SoundCloud, because it's that really limited what have you. Music services, the songs that we didn't have from the music service, it was because it was from one of these unique spots. And these kids, because of their clique and their friends, they knew these songs really, really well. We had no idea what they were, of course, but they did. And if we wouldn't have gotten with the one school, if we wouldn't have had the requests in advance and actually started to go and look for the songs, we'd have never known what they were. So it's really, when you mention, do we need music services? That could be one of the ending factors or deciding factors. You get to a point
I always proceed with caution when I even think this, because I don't want to sound like the old guy. I am the old guy, but I don't want to sound like the old guy.
Yep.
But have we seen in our lifetime, or maybe not our lifetime, but maybe my mother seen in her lifetime the rise and fall of the golden age of pop music? Has my mother seen this? Is it over? Are we on to something else now, like Facebook? I mean, is that thing, or the internet, or something like that? Is the golden age of pop music or rock and roll or anything else gone?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time? Or let me rephrase that. What was the last song that came out, John, that had mass appeal for your audience? A last tune that you could play and get a good dance floor, and all generations liked it, but it was new.
It would have to be Uptown Funk. Would have been probably the last one. And we're talking
about before that.
For a brief period of time, and I would say for probably about a year and a half, 2 years, Call Me Maybe was that song.
It's pretty good. I still think that song's more appealing to young women, more so than myself. I like it, but I think about tracks like Uptown Funk, which is a throwback song. That's why people like it.
Yep. And
the other one that I can think of that's also kind of a throwback song would be Pharrell's Happy. Those are the last two tracks that I can think of that I could with confidence put on and feel like that everyone would get into it. And to this day, we're still there. Shut Up and Dance. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Shake It Off. I don't even feel that track. I don't feel anything Taylor Swift does. Shake It Off. Geez, wouldn't that be like a Madonna B-side? I mean, back in the golden days, it's just not that good. There's not a lot out there.
No,
it's not like it used to be. And the 15-year-olds are always going to want the latest and greatest, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah,
I think it's becoming more disposable than it's ever been. I think in R&B and hip hop, the general consensus has been if it's not new, it's through. So it's got to be the newest R&B track, or we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to hear, the song that peaked at number 20 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, we had to hear it the day it came out. But having said that, some songs just stuck. And they didn't go away.
Yeah.
They're not sticking anymore.
No, not so much. We really don't have that. And it might be partially due to that diverse music source, or the music sources that kids are pulling from all the time, and they're just moving so quickly that nothing sticks or nothing has time enough to. Or it could be because of music on demand, and they can go to listen to that song, and they can listen to it over and over, and they can put it in a mix, and they can put it in a playlist, and they can create a mix based on that song, and then their friends have got their version of that mixed with that song or whatever, that it just can overplay. Whereas in our days, the only way a song could become overplayed to a point as a regular person was listening to it every 2 hours on top 40 stations.
Well, I'm looking behind your shoulder and I'm seeing Def Leppard's Hysteria.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that album well. I remember Pour Some Sugar on Me came out. I couldn't understand what they were saying. The chorus was just so, I don't know. They were enunciating very oddly. For some reason, I was hearing possum shooting all day. That's what I heard. But I remember Animal came out, and several other tracks came out on that album. I didn't buy it for Pour Some Sugar on Me. I think I ended up with it when Animal came out, and there were several singles at that time, and I made the investment of that record. Okay, I'm going to make that investment. I like that record.
Yep.
It's good. And there are some tracks on here that aren't my favorite tracks, but there are some cool tracks on here.
For sure.
It's a very solid album. And I made that investment. You know, I was working at the time, probably, I don't know, maybe I was a video clerk at a drugstore or whatever I was doing for a couple bucks. Maybe I was DJing. I don't remember, but I bought it. Yeah. Who makes an investment today in music?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to anymore.
No, you buy them.
Just there.
Yeah.
So you don't have to put any thought into it. You don't have to ask yourself, do I buy this? Do I don't buy it? Hell, even when you would get the big cases of the cassette tapes, and I used to do that all the time. You know, I would find out who in the neighborhood had bought something that I didn't have, and I would play it on the CD and record it on my, you know, really good Chrome tapes or whatever, for just to have it, just to have an archive of all these songs.
Yep.
Do I care enough about this album or the CD to blow one of my tapes on it? I mean, I don't know. There was some kind of mental ownership that you had to take with this music to even have it. Today, you don't have to have any of that. It's all just there, and it's an endless amount of storage, and it's on demand, like you said. There's no investment. There's no sacrifice that you make as the listener to own it and to hear it whenever you want to. It's very different. The structure of it's very different. And I don't know if the structure is what killed it, killed music, or, you know, where it's to the point where it's like, well, why even try? It doesn't matter if we do well or we do this garbage. It doesn't really matter, because either way, we're not going to make any money.
Yep.
Either way, they're going to watch it on YouTube. Either way, they're going to illegally download it, and they're not going to buy the album. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird.
And it still kind of strikes me as odd when I'm hearing them talk about new music and their album dropped and things such as this, that they're even using the phrase album dropped, that so-and-so's, they were talking about some rapper that, Post Malone. He had an album drop in early part of the year, and now Post Malone's trying to get an album to drop here before they want to get one more in before the end of the year. And it's like, seriously, they're still doing albums? Why?
I think it's just like a very old term, kind of like crank it up. We're not really cranking anything anymore. You know, we just turn it up. But,
I don't know. That's how I start my truck.
your 29 Model A, huh? You crank it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. I wish I was getting excited about something out there right now. And I used to be able to look to Europe and see things that were going on in England or Germany or somewhere, Italy. That was like, wow, this is really cool. But I'm not even hearing anything about that anymore. I mean, I'm not actively seeking it, but I'm hearing the same complaints there that we're having here on it. So I don't know. I'm really just afraid the golden age is over. And it's disappointing, because it's the one thing we could always count on was something, you know, cool coming out. On the other hand, I guess we should be happy that we got 65 years of rock and roll to play with. You know, I guess that's the bright side of it.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, the people we play to at teen dances have no interest in hearing any of those other 64 or 5 years.
I don't. Yeah, maybe not. But you know, the hell with them kids.
Yeah,
I'm done with kids.
Yeah. Now it's time for us to go start playing the nursing homes.
Well, it's the culture. It's the culture, and it's not a music culture with kids right now.
No, not so much.
It's a social media culture. It's digital. You know, they're not going out anymore, even when they get to be 21. Where did all the nightclubs go? You know, a couple in Vegas, but is there one anywhere near you?
No,
there's bars.
There's bars, but yeah, there isn't. And the bars, the only reason they're still in business, some of them, is because they've added a dinner crowd, and by 10 o'clock, it's crickets and ghost town.
Oh yeah, I can go up the road here. There's a wonderful place. I'd love to take you sometime. It's called Crafty Cow. They got wonderful hamburgers, deep fried cheese curds to die for. They're really, really good. They're beer battered. They're marvelous. Wings are good, and it's you could walk to it. It's right down the road.
Nice.
They also have this really good hothead chicken stuff, but it's a bar, you know. And like at night, they got a trivia guy in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going out now. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
That's going out. And I mean, that's fine, but it's just not like it used to be, I guess. The thing that I loved and that got me really into being a DJ just doesn't exist anymore as like it used to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a music thing, if it's a I know it's not a music thing. I know it's a culture thing. It's just that people aren't social anymore. Yeah. Look, if you want to meet a girl, do you got to go anywhere to meet a girl? Yeah, meet her on social media.
Is it a swipe left or a swipe right? I don't know which one.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm old school, man.
Yeah,
I got to go somewhere and meet somebody.
Yeah, if I can't reach out and touch someone like the old, that was a phone, wasn't it?
That was the phone.
That was the phone. Okay. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you for being with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back again tomorrow night with a little bit on Wednesday night. We're getting into the end of the year here. We're going to be doing a kind of a little contest for DJ tips in December. If you'd like to be in that contest, you need to, you know what, I don't even remember what the URL now that contest, I think is what it was. I'm going to pop this out and see. I believe it was. No, it wasn't. Oh, that's just really great. So where did I have the link for it? Anyway, I don't know where it is. Huh. But we're going to be doing a contest, and I'll be putting I've got a video scheduled to go up tomorrow. And what we're going to be doing in December is we're going to be running your tips, a little 90-second to 2 or 3 minute tips. And each tip video you do, and we run up on the channel, is going to give you an entry into a drawing for a $500 gift certificate to be used at NLFX Pro. So we're not going to limit you on what you're going to be getting and such. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. But it will be something that you can buy from NLFX Pro.
Pretty hot.
So yeah, we're pretty excited about that, and that's going to be coming up. Yeah, I can't find that link. I don't know which one I did. So anyway, we'll have that tomorrow. So look for that video and such tomorrow, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.